The Warriors are just one win away from yet another trip to the NBA Finals. They're sixth in the last 9 years, 8 years, something like that. Amazing. This is a dynasty and it's continuing. We thought it was over when they lost to the Toronto Raptors and Kevin Durant left and Clay and Steph did not play for a year and we're like, okay, that's over, but that was a good run. But they're back. They're almost there. One win away from the NBA Finals yet again.
Yeah.
While in the Eastern Conference, Miami Heat, surprisingly, I would say, drubbed the Boston Celtics. It was a close game in the end, but first half lead was too much to overcome. And they
Whooping.
have the lead now in the Eastern Conference final. Let's talk all about these games in today's episode. Let's start off with the game that just got over the Warriors and the Mavs. The Warriors winning 109 to 100. This game, although it was close, like it was a 5 point game with 1 minute left, it never looked like the Warriors lost control, did it? I know Jordan Poole hit a big 3 pointer and the lead went to 8, and then there was no coming back after that. But it was a 5 point game still. But the Warriors never, they trailed maybe for like a minute somewhere in between, but they were always in control. Steph was getting big shots whenever needed, whenever they were getting closer. Steph was taking them away. Luka was responding immediately, but the Warriors, after 3 games, you could say that they have the stronger roster. They are well coached, of course. They have the experience of playing in these big matchups and handling that pressure, soaking in the pressure very well. And it seems like Luka has a little too much to do. I mean, always this is like what, this third season in a row where he's putting on 40 points after 40 points and surprisingly, unfortunately, missing out on wins. In fact, today was his eighth game in his 26 career playoff games that he's got 40 plus points. 6 of them have resulted in losses.
Yep.
It can kind of equate Luka to the 90s Sachin, where Sachin used to score 100
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
India used to lose. It's somewhat like that now. Luka's getting 40 plus, but the Mavs are not winning. Do you see any way back for the Mavs? I mean, no team has come back from 0-3 down in playoffs. Are they going to get swept? The last time the Warriors were in the Western Conference Final, they swept the Portland Trailblazers. Yet another sweep coming up in the conference finals.
For sure. Their best case scenario is a 5-1 if they can salvage one game out of this. But even that looks exceedingly unlikely. This is what I was saying at halftime, right? I said I don't trust the Mavs carrying a lead into the second half, let alone trailing at the half.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
it's over. It doesn't matter home, away. It's just over. Um, Gosh, so many thoughts. First of all, you can't have Reggie Bullock. I don't know why I'm riding so hard on him this entire post.
Bullock and Kleber 0 of 15 from in today's game, and that was the difference. I mean, if you remember last time when we spoke, we said the Mavs are not winning if Luka has less than 7 assists. He had 3 assists today, but Dinwiddie and Brunson got their points. It was Bullock and Kleber who got 0 of 15. If they had scored like 5 or 4 of 15, they would have won this game. That's how bad they were.
Yeah, including 0 of 12 from the 3, both of those combined.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
where they really
Yep.
got butchered. What it shows essentially is Luka got his points. Luka always gets his points. Luka got his points.
Yeah.
Dinwiddie did his thing. But if you notice, Dinwiddie is super aggressive. Very, very similar to
Yeah.
Wiggins in
Right
today's
from
game.
the first quarter.
Absolutely. And then Brunson did his thing again. So
Yep.
he's sort of their Jordan Poole. It's extremely similar play styles minus the prolific 3 shooting. So
Yeah.
they've got all these things going. Essentially, what you see with the Mavs is all of the guys that can score off the dribble or create their own shot. They're getting stuff done. And then DFS, Kleber, Bullock, all the set shooters, if they go missing, this team looks really, really bad. And that includes Bertans, who
Yeah.
finally had to put points on the board by driving in for a dunk. Right? But it's just the shot wasn't falling. And I think what we've seen with these guys, and it's basically a repeat of say the bubble Houston Rockets or the Utah Jazz from so many series in the regular season, which is
Right.
when these teams get hot from 3, they're unstoppable. But when that 3 ball isn't falling very fast, you realize that there are so many ways to win a game, but these guys only have one trick, and there's
Yeah.
really nothing
Yeah.
else to back them up. Because for the Mavs, for instance, when the 3 ball isn't falling, what do you do to win a match? You get key stops, you defend tight, maybe go back into a zone, and most importantly, you get rebounds. The bonus is if you can punish the other team with fast break opportunities and second chance opportunities, but you got to get that rebound to begin with. Forget whether you make something of it or not. Because the flip side is if you don't get it, well, you get it, maybe you have a chance at second chance points or a fast break. You don't get it, the other team definitely has a shot at second. It's a double whammy, they're not getting that rebound.
Yep.
And they couldn't do it. They couldn't get a clutch stop to save their life. They couldn't get a rebound. And so with each passing shot, each passing play, as the gap widens, what do? They go back to really the already diminishing returns of just punting up 3 after 3, hoping one of them goes in. At a point in the fourth quarter, the game would have been over if not for Luka just making ridiculous threes.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
had no choice. He just let it go from wherever and it went in. And that just about barely kept them in the game. So the Mavs don't really have a plan B. They don't have a defense. It shows up every once in a while. They don't have a plan B outside of the three ball falling. And then, so Luka does his thing, plus the three ball has to go. That's pretty much their formula to win a game right
right.
now. They don't really have that level of three shooting. Every once in a while it looks good, but
Yeah,
they're not quite at that level. And they're up against an extremely disciplined, highly motivated Warriors unit who genuinely believe that they can go get the chip. They were that way from day one.
yeah.
It's a big gap between these two squads.
Yeah, it shows. And the perfect example of not just depending on the three ball is the Warriors itself. You saw that Steph is the greatest shooter ever in the league.
Yeah, yeah.
He drives into the basket when his three is not shooting. And that's something that the Mavs can learn, right? I
And
mean,
that's on a night when
there's
he was
nobody.
50% from three.
Yes, exactly. There's so many points where he just,
Yeah.
and that's what he does. He makes the defense commit to him because he can attempt threes from the logo. The defense is committed, and then he drives in, either gets a pass off to Draymond or Wiggins or Looney or whoever is in the paint, and then they get an easy dunk, and which results in his 12 assists as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Steph has now two double doubles in this 3-game series, one with 3 points and one with assists. So Steph has been pretty efficient this series, I would say. I mean, all this coming into the playoffs, there were a lot of talk about how his three is not falling, he's missing free throws, and all of that. All of that has been silenced. Nobody's even talking about that now because 3 games here, he's been pretty efficient from the 2 point shot, 3 point shot, whatever, driving to the basket, everything he's been doing it all. But for me, the player of the series so far has been Andrew Wiggins, both on the
absolutely.
offensive end, defensive end,
Yep.
taking on Luka for 40 plus minutes. Every single possession he's on Luka, high energy. And then on the other end of the floor, going and dunking over Luka, getting the 3 point shot whenever needed. He's 40% from three over the
Yep.
whole season. So he's been a dependable 3 point shooter as well. He done an amazing job. I know you have some thoughts on Wiggins of how aggressive he was, and you said that he was like this when he entered the league. Do you
Yeah.
want to talk about that?
Yeah. And not just the aggression, but also an above the rim player. So when Wiggins came in, he was a big time dunker, and there were these moments. So he came in to Minnesota at the same time as Zach LaVine. Both of them came in the same draft. Wiggins was, of course, the number one pick, and LaVine was whatever, 12th or 15th or something. And they were contemporaries in that Timberwolves outfit, and they used to challenge each other to these dunk offs in practice. Now, Zach LaVine's a whole nother level. Wiggins couldn't quite match him, but he was up there. He was really up there. And if you remember, I remember one of those dunk contests. I think that was the one where LaVine first came out with the Space Jam dunk, and Wiggins, I think, set him up on one of the dunks as his teammate. And the
Yep.
commentators were like, one of the commentators goes, he could be in this contest someday. He's just as good. And the other guy says, no, he's going to be in the big game on Sunday very soon. Like that was the level of expectation with Andrew Wiggins. Somewhere he kind of, like when the Minnesota thing didn't quite work out. The org wasn't very supportive. They gave up on him very easily, and then the whole cat thing happened, and the whole
Yep.
org pivoted towards cat, and it was just a toxic environment for him to be in. And I'm glad that it came out. But college through to the NBA, he came in like this, and it's amazing that. I mean, clearly after when did he come in? 2013, 14? So after
2014.
so 8 years into his career, if they can unlock this version of the Wiggins, he was sitting there all along. So somewhere Minnesota just had the greatest bot job of talent management, and I hope they don't do that with Ant. It doesn't
Yep.
look like it. I think
Yeah.
Ant's a different animal. I think he'll
True.
develop
Wiggins
himself
is more of the
regardless.
passive, silent
Correct.
guy, and like you give him instructions, he'll do his job well. It's
I
somewhat
mean,
like that.
he's Canadian. He's just a nice guy. He's like
Yeah,
Jamal
yeah,
Murray,
yeah, exactly.
same mold.
Exactly.
But yeah. So this player was there all along. I'm glad to see him break out. He's been ferocious this season.
Yep.
This
Yep.
series especially, both ends of the floor.
Absolutely. And I think also there has been constant pressure on him being the top draft pick. There's a certain level of expectation that goes with it. The 30 million paycheck that comes along with it now that he has. And it's always hounding him, right? I mean, forget all of that. As a player, you would love to have him on any team. Forget the salary cap, forget the draft pick and whatnot. As wouldn't you want him on your team? I mean, he's a lovely player. I think almost every franchise would love to have him in this team, if affordable, of course, given all of that. But the Warriors have no issues with paying him the extra money. They pay the most luxury tax in the league, and if you think of it, Wiggins is kind of playing for a spot next season because the Warriors have to pay Jordan Poole, which means they will have to cut one of the big guys. And Wiggins is kind of cementing a spot with these kind of performance. The Warriors will be very reluctant to let him go, and they'll be more than happy, I think, to pay the luxury tax that gives them the title. So I think Wiggins is in a way playing in a contract year, but not in a contract year.
Yeah, and I think even if the Warriors choose not to go ahead with him, which there is an outside chance, I think he would still put himself in such a good place where
Yeah,
he'd have 6-7 contender level takers
of course.
for his signature, and I think that's testament to the achievement. Maybe the Lakers, I don't know. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I mean, two-way player. Why won't you have him, right?
yeah, why
Good
not
on the
flip?
offensive and good on the
Fucking
defensive
give
end. One of the
Westbrook
better
to the
defenders.
Warriors. Westbrook to the Warriors. Let's make it happen.
Um, talking about silent performers, how good has Looney been in the last
Yeah.
4 games? Starting from the game 6 in Memphis, where he got 22 rebounds, then a career high 21 and 10 against the Mavs in game 2, and again today he was
MVP
impressive. I
chance.
mean, MVP chance. Exactly. Who would have seen that coming? I mean, how many times in this season have we spoken about Warriors getting exposed by the bigger men?
Yeah.
Hassan Whiteside looked like Shaq
Shaq,
over
pretty much.
Shaq one of those games. Mitchell Robinson was looking like Hakeem on one of those games, and all of these guys. And the Warriors are always getting out rebounded and dominated by the big men. But who would have thought? Now Looney is the guy who's dominating the other center, and Kleber and Powell. And even when Luka gets the switch on Looney, he doesn't seem out of place. He's defending him pretty well. In fact, it's kind of odd that Luka is getting 40 points, but he's saying that Wiggins did a good job and Looney did a good job
Yeah,
and
we're
Draymond did a good
congratulating
job.
all of the Warriors for defending a guy who's dropping 40 for fun.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but I think they've done a good job.
They have. That's how it is with Luka. He'd go off for 58-60 in any of these games, if not for the defense. No, but I don't think my sense is Looney is getting a little. He looks a little too good because he's up against what exactly? Dwight Powell, Maxi Kleber, like what the
True.
fuck?
Even in the previous series, it was Jaren Jackson Jr. Well, he's good, but it's Jaren Jackson Jr.
He's good defensively. He's very mobile and all that, but he's not really a big body.
The points I don't expect him. It's his first 20-point game in his career, so I don't expect the points to come consistently. But
I don't think they
rebounds,
do either. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the rebounds are the big thing. I mean, getting the extra position. They've out rebounded Dallas in every game this series. They've out rebounded Memphis in every game in that series, except that one washout blowout game that they had. So I think Looney's done a brilliant job. In fact, if you think of it, at the start of the playoffs, he's not even in the starting lineup. He earned a spot there because Jordan Poole was the starting guy there. They've kind of changed around the.
Yeah, sorry. I think the moment Wiseman comes back, Looney's out. At not this season maybe, but whenever. Because even if you see this team going, what if this team's going through to the finals, right? Warriors are going to be in the finals, and they'll face most likely Miami at this point. It looks like our initial.
It's 2-1.
Right?
That's still.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing quite enough. And Celtics just look gassed for me. In addition to all of the other factors that are in favor of Miami, Celtics look gassed. Miami, of course, I mean, any good team's one injury away from being a calamity. But barring that, I think Miami looks steady. Anyway, either way, either Miami or Boston, whoever comes to the finals, I don't see Looney having this level of dominance against either of those teams, because with Miami, he's up against Bam. That's a tough fight. That's a fight I don't expect him to win. And Miami's got a ton of players that can drive in and punish Looney. They're all a lot faster, more mobile than Luka is. So they're not as skilled, nowhere close to being as skilled as Luka.
Of course not.
But they can expose him on speed and movement and positioning. And then if you go to the Celtics, they've got a squad full of players that can expose the interior. And they've got decent rebounding. So I don't know. I don't quite see Looney. I think he's being made to look good by Jaren Jackson Jr., Maxi Kleber, and Dwight Powell. Especially Dwight Powell.
Agreed. I mean, nobody expected Looney to be the star of this show, but I think he's done more than what he was expected. And he's in a contract here as well. So a lot of content.
He's
a lot
been
of
immense
teams looking at.
For sure.
Yeah, brilliant. Let's jump to the other series, the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. 109-103 yesterday. Jimmy Butler just got 8 of those points and he didn't play the second half at all. But Bam Adebayo, we discussed about him in the previous episode. He just went off. First quarter onwards, you could see how aggressive he was, just getting onto everything, rebounding, aggressive, going against the Boston defense, and scored 31 points. And without Butler, I mean, we spoke about it. Who else is a scorer for Miami? There's no big scorers. Bam got 31, of course, but look at the other guys. Struz got 16, Lowry got 11, PJ Tucker got 17.
Everybody showed up.
Everyone showed up. And Oladipo on defense, how good was he? Meanwhile, for the Boston Celtics, Tatum had an off night, just 10 points. Jaylen Brown went off, he got 40 points though. But when Tatum gets 10, you're rarely winning.
Yeah, I think with Bam, it's amazing when he got that max contract. I remember thinking, and everyone, there was article after article saying, he's their go-to guy. He's their finisher in tight games. And he's not quite the shooting finisher, but he's the guy that is the nexus of everything. Sort of like a Draymond Green, but maybe with a little more offensive skill. and he's the guy that's the heart and soul of the organization. Whenever he's out, it looks weird. Now it went back that he had that pendulum with him for a bit. It kind of just
Yeah.
hung on to it, but it's oscillated over to the other side and got stuck there to Jimmy Butler's ass, because now he's back to being that guy. Yesterday I thought was a great opportunity. Now Bam started super aggressive even before Butler went out,
Yeah.
but he could sustain it, and in Butler's absence, he really led that team and took over. It showed leadership, it showed skill. He was 14 of 20. He got his points of
Right.
14 of 20 shooting. He got rebounds, he got steals, he was everywhere on defense. This is the Bam they paid all those dollars for. This is the Bam that they expect. And then typical Miami, everyone shows up. Spoelstra,
Yeah.
it's like clockwork with the substitutions. He knows exactly when to come bring in at what point, and they all make it
Right.
work. I just don't know how it happens, but they make it work. They take the most random ass squads and they turn them into championship outfits. It's unreal.
Look at the
what
number
they're-
of undrafted guys in this
Yeah.
team. Gabe Vincent was undrafted, Max Struz was undrafted,
Struz,
Duncan
yeah.
Robinson is undrafted, and all three of them are getting playoff minutes. So
Unreal.
that's unheard of. That's really unreal. Oladipo just played 20 minutes and he had 4 steals. He was brilliant on defense, just restricting Jason Tatum entirely. Like you said, Tatum looked gassed.
Yeah.
And this is a problem that I have with the scheduling. Boston Celtics have been playing every alternate day right from the Milwaukee series, and that's not sustainable. I mean, this is an NBA conference final. You expect high level of performance. If you want the top players to show up, you need to give them enough rest for better quality of basketball, and somehow that's missing. I feel an extra day of rest, and at least in between those travel days, which used to happen earlier, right? That kind of is playing into Miami's hands right now because they look the better rested unit.
Wah, 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 wah. Win your series faster. Look at Miami. Boom, 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 boom. Into the
They
conference
had
finals.
they had Giannis to contend.
Hold on.
Okay, now
Hold on.
how-
Oh, Miami did their bit. They topped the league. They got home
Of
court.
course.
They
That-
got
that
the
you
easier
gotta give it.
opponents. Boston snoozed through like the first 2-3, like almost until the All-Star game. Then they woke up and said, "No, we're going to be the best team in basketball." Okay, well, sure then.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think this season has been a great example of seedings matter, especially home court advantage. These things matter. Some teams I think there's been this culture over the last 5 to 7 years of some teams just believing they're so damn good, they can finish at whatever seed and then they'll get the job done. Think of the examples, right? You had the Clippers chilling
Milwaukee.
through all of the... Oh, of course. So the Clippers chilling through all of it. It started really with those fools.
Right.
Chilling through the regular season, and then come the bubble, somebody's in a strip club, somebody is grandma, whatever, right? So that happened. That was a disaster. Brooklyn Nets, same mistake, disaster.
Yep.
All right. Then you had Milwaukee this season, just chilling, woke up.
Lakers last season.
Yeah, Lakers. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Lakers also. Well, Lakers injuries, so you kind of.
Yeah.
But no, I'm talking about like conscious decisions to do this. Like Milwaukee, regardless of who was fit, they really did take it easy in the first half of the first good chunk of the
Right.
season.
Even on the last day of the season,
Yeah.
they could have finished second.
And then you have the idiocy of the Philadelphia 76ers dropping seeds to engineer the playoff matchup. They got their ass handed to them in the playoffs after all of that engineering, right? And through all this, you see the quietly outperforming Miami Heat, start to finish, top of the league. They started low.
With injuries.
Exactly. They built momentum, they sustained it all the way through, top of the league. Got the easy ass fixtures, came to the finals like that, and now they're fresh. They're well rested, and the Celtics are gassed.
Totally.
Win
Not
your
to
regular
discredit
season.
Miami though, but the Celtics had 23 turnovers and the Miami had a playoff record of 19 steals. 19 steals in 48
unreal.
minutes. That's incredible. 33 to 9 points of turnovers, and I think that's where the game was won. I mean, the Boston Celtics did post an incredible comeback in the second half. It was a 1-point game at one point in time. But the first half lead was so much. When you come back from 25 down and you reach that, you expect one run from Miami and you're demotivated again. And that's exactly what happened with the Celtics in the last few minutes.
Credit to Miami, they got those stops. It's all about the stops in the playoffs. Everyone
Absolutely.
got steals. It's like every time Jaylen Brown came down with the ball, Oladipo just swipe. It's like a video game. Swipe gets the ball. Just
There are a lot
easy.
of memes on Twitter about how Jaylen Brown doesn't know to dribble at all. And he got 40 points,
Yeah,
but
40
he's
points,
getting made fun of. Yeah.
40 points off
you see-
ridiculous shooting, by the way. Just ridiculous. Flat out, he barely missed in that game.
Yep. Game 4 tomorrow in Boston. You would expect Boston to win that, wouldn't you?
I would.
I mean,
yes,
or else
I would.
it's 3-1 down.
It's over. If they lose this one, it's over. I would expect
Yeah.
them to win. I think this will be a tight series. I'm still favoring Miami, but it's going to be one of those back and forth sort of oscillating series, and I really do expect Boston to win. It's just If they come out hard shooting, I think it's their game. It's as easy as that. They can't afford to go back and then start mounting comebacks. They can do it, but it would be a risky way to go about it.
Agreed. I totally agree. I don't expect Tatum to have two bad nights in a row. So that's a big game I'm looking out for. Tatum with one of those breakout 35, 40-point games. And then I think the Celtics should take the game tomorrow, 2-2 back to Miami. That'll be that's where the series will begin for me, because it's going to be a best of three shootout after that.
Correct. And by the way, if now that we know how the West is panning out, the finals matchup that I would love to see is actually Warriors against Celtics, not Warriors against the Heat. So, and I'm kind of caught in two minds, but I think Miami have deserved it thus far, unless the Celtics pull a rabbit out of the hat.
And I think whatever team comes from the East will start off as the favorites in the finals. The Celtics against the Warriors, I think the Celtics
I'm actually
are better
picking
favored.
the Drubs to win it all, like, whoever comes out of the East.
Okay, I think Celtics are a tough beat. Miami is still manageable, I think, for the Warriors. Celtics are a really tough beat, even matchup wise, right? I mean, who's stopping Tatum in that team? Who's stopping Jaylen Brown in that team? It's difficult. I don't see how they can get past the Celtics. But
You
that's
talk like
discussion.
Steph Curry only shoots free throws. It's like, what the
I'm
fuck?
a little cautious with the Warriors. I mean, I don't want to.
Oh man,
Well,
I think
we'll come back and
defenses. Let's see.
Yeah. We'll come back and talk about this game tomorrow. That should be a fun matchup. But that's all in today's episode. As always, great talking to you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Peace.